I'd like to welcome you to September's edition of Crystal Reports Tips and Tricks. We put on these tips and tricks once a month. Today's our webinar Tips and Tricks Day. I actually did a gold mine one this morning. You can always find tips and tricks from ages past by going to blog.marksgroup.net. You can scroll down on the right hand side and you can see that all of our tips are available, broken out into year, month, and software category. Today, we're going to look at a few different things. I want to show you guys how to enable landscape size, and actually more specifically how to change the report size in general. This always seems to come up when I'm troubleshooting reports in the field. Everyone always seems to want to have a bigger report. They want to put more stuff on the report. And what's nice about Crystal is that it will actually honor whatever paper size you set it up for. I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to briefly touch on formatting as currency. More to the point, I'm going to show you what to do with a number stored as text and how to format that first as a number and then format that also as a currency. And it's very important when we think about summarizing values in Crystal. If we want to provide like a total, like a grand total on a report, we can only really summarize numerical values. So if the underlying data is being stored as text, that just it brings to the foreground just a typical problem that we have. I'm going to show you how to work around that. I'm also going to show you how to suppress report sections. This is actually something that I find very handy to do, especially when I try to troubleshoot reports. And if we have some time, I want to show you a few little handy date functions, how to display the day of the week from a date. For instance, today being the 27th. If I have 9/27 on a report, how do I show that as, being the day of the week, being Tuesday? So let's jump right in. Again, I want to show you how to enable different sizes of paper within your report. So we see here our designer right here seems to be geared for 8.5 by 11 portrait, meaning reading up and down. What's nice about Crystal is that if I go into File and Printer Setup, I can change my paper size right here. For instance, well, the first thing I wanted to do actually was change my orientation to landscape. So that's going to get us a wider sheet of paper. So now we have the 11 inches on the horizontal axis. So that's typically what a lot of people require for reports. However, I do have some special cases where the reports themselves are being printed on legal size. They're actually so big and complex. So I'm going to go back to File, back to Printer Setup, and I can really change this, the paper size, to pretty much whatever I want. Legal's in here somewhere. There it is. So now you see that the designer is honoring that paper size. So it really is hammering home the point that what you see is what you get with Crystal. So certainly for those rare occasions when you really got to have more real estate and you can't make your fonts any smaller, go ahead and first enable landscape size, get you more room on the right hand side, but certainly you can enable a legal size and certainly any other custom size of paper that you care to use. We're going to look at currency actually. So what I have here is a very simple report. It's hooked up to a contact table out of my gold mine. I have a gold mine training database that I use here. So we're seeing 3 company records. If I look at my design, I can see here there's my company, my contact, and I have a field here called key 3. And what key 3 actually is storing is, let's imagine that's money owed to us. So maybe one of the first things I want to be able to do is just show a $sign next to that amount there. So that should be an easy deal, right? I should be able to right-click on my field, and whenever I right-click on a field in Crystal, I'm able to go to this Format Field item. So virtually any Crystal object is going to allow me to format the field here. And I can do things like change the border of the field. Like if I wanted to put that in a square, I could put a single border on all 4 sides. I could certainly change the font. Paragraph formatting, so on and so forth. But what we're looking for, and what I don't see here, is a way to include that currency symbol. And the reason for that is because that dollar amount in a gold mine, that's actually being stored in a text field. See, I can really even just type in whatever I want in there. And that's a pretty typical problem that you see, especially with older data sources, or maybe data models that haven't been really thought all the way through. So because that underlying value isn't being stored as a number, Crystal is not giving me my numerical formatting options here. So what we actually have to do is convert that. So let's go ahead and create a formula. And I'm going to bring up my Field Explorer. I'm just going to right click and create a new formula. So the idea is to convert that value to a number. So I'm going to create an amount owed formula. When I create formulas, I prefix them with a lowercase frm. You'll see here that what that allows me to do is actually get when I see a big, long, huge list of Crystal objects, it's very easy for me to tell what's a formula and what's not. That's just something that I do. It's not required. So we're going to make this amount owed formula. And again, whenever we're creating a Crystal formula, we always want to keep in mind what we're doing. So we want to convert that key 3 value to a number. The way we're going to do that is we're actually going to use the toNumber function in Crystal. Now, I know enough, because I've done it before, to type that in. But I can certainly find that if I look within my functions tree and I look underneath, let's see here, is it under string? No, it's going to be under I'm not exactly sure where to find toNumber, but trust me, it's in there. At any rate, toNumber. And if I pass my key 3 field to that toNumber function, so let's just take a brief moment and just talk about using functions in the Crystal formula editor. toNumber is a function. Now, toNumber requires a value. It needs something to convert, so I pass it my key 3. And I put it in parentheses right after that toNumber function. So I want to go ahead and I want to check my syntax by clicking on my little my check mark up here. It says no errors found. Good. So I go ahead and I save that. Now that I have this new field, I'm going to go ahead and drag that right onto the report. I also find it very nice when troubleshooting formulas or when building formulas to drag it right onto the report next to the value it's working from. That way it's easy to see kind of what's going on there. So now if I go to preview, well, it doesn't look any different. I still get my 420.98, my 18451, but because this value now is numerical, when I right click and go to my format, I get my number tab here, which allows me to format the number part of it. Again, the whole problem was key 3, if I go to format my key 3, it's not a number. So my number formatting is not available. I had to convert that to a number using the formula. Now that it is a number, I have my number formatting. So when I'm thinking about formatting a number, it's going to allow me to choose whether or not I use a thousandth separator, a comma, and also whether or not to include cents. If you do not include cents, it will round up to the highest dollar. I like to actually see the cents, so I'm going to leave that just like that. And I also actually want to display a currency symbol, which again is another thing that using a numerical value allows you to do. Just that easy. I will show you another just quick trick now that I think about it. If, say, for instance, I'd like a space between my $sign and my actual dollar amount, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into my format field and I want to deselect display currency symbol. And I want to go to customize, because when I go to customize and then again to currency symbol, I can actually change what the currency symbol is and what position to put it in. This is actually a nice way to get a percentage sign automatically added to a Crystal column. But in this case, I wanted that space. Actually, I'm not so sure. Yeah, it will work. So I just put that space after the $sign there, and now Oh, it seems to have separated that out quite a bit. So apparently some fine tuning is needed, but certainly if you want to customize that currency symbol, or in fact, like I had mentioned, a nice trick to use is to, if you want to provide a percentage, use a percent here and then put the position on the other side of the number. Very easy to make that a percentage. Just a nice little tip. And now that this value is numerical, it's very easy to insert a grand total at this point. So I'm going to go to Insert Summary. So I want to summarize that dollar amount. And I want to select the field I'd like to summarize. In this case is my amount owed, and it's going to be a sum. Actually, hold on, we need to group the report first. I'm going to go ahead and put a group into the report. I'm going to group on company. Now I'm going to insert a summary. And what I wanted to show you here is that when I select my amount owed, remember the converted value, Crystal already kind of knows that I'm providing a sum here. If I had chosen my key 3, which is actually what the original problem would have been, if I tried to summarize on key 3, sum disappears from my summary type here because it's not a number. Again, reinforcing the true requirement to be using the proper underlying data types. So I'm going to select amount owed and then select sum and insert grand total field. And there it is. And certainly now I can go ahead and I can format that field as well. Okay, let's move on to suppressing report sections. So this is actually not a bad example to use. So let's say that I have a fairly large report that is doing something like